at the Brains Trust, and I thought leading into my favourite tennis tournament of the year, Roland Garros, I would give you guys the 10 men's players to watch out for, from 10 counting all the way down to 1. So without further ado, let's get into the list. Player for this list is Italian hitter, hard hitter, Fabio Fognini.
Working with Caroline Wozniacki right now during this clay court campaign. Oh yeah.
Now the reason Fognini is on this list and some other people aren't is because of his ceiling. And what I mean by ceiling is, on Fognini's best day on the dirt, he's very, very, very hard for anyone to beat. He's got a bunch of wins over Nadal, including one this year. Look, Fognini started very slow on the Golden Swing this year, which is the series of tournaments that go through South America, which are on the clay. But when he returned to Europe, he started to get a little bit of his mojo back. He won Monte Carlo with wins over Borna Coric, Rafael Nadal, Dusan Lajovic in the finals. And when he gets going and when he's hitting the ball and seeing the ball, he's very, 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 very hard to handle. He's got power from both sides. He's fit. He can go the distance. He's always carrying like the kinesic tape on his hammies or on his calves or whatever. But don't worry. When Fabio Fognini wants to be there, and on days where he gets up out of bed and thinks, I'm going to hit the ball cleanly today, when he does that, he's almost impossible to handle. So with that, I've got Fabio Fognini, number 10 on my list. Now, my number 9 is former Roland Garros winner, Stan Wawrinka.
That's super.
Now, I wanted to put Stan on this list just because, again, it's a similar situation to Fognini. It's like, at the moment, the way Stan's playing, his best days are a long way away from his worst days in terms, there's a lot of inconsistency with Stan in 2019. I think he's 35 or 34. He's not getting any younger, but he has still shown glimpses for mine with wins over Nishikori this year on the dirt. He's had good performances. He has still shown glimpses for mine that he is close enough to the form that saw him win a French Open. There's no way he's there, but he's still got that, that power from both sides. He's still got the serve. He needs to kind of work on leveling off that quality of play over 5 sets. But when you talk about Stan, the reason why he's on this list and guys like Marco Cecchinato and Diego Schwartzman aren't is because of that ceiling, is because of that flair. He's much more than a clay court grinder, than someone who's going to hit the ball back. He's a guy who can genuinely light the house on fire when he's at his best, and he can be, like Fognini, virtually unplayable. So even though I don't think there's that many scenarios where Stan Wawrinka can win the French Open, I think there is definitely a path for him if the draw opens up, and if he gets going, yes, he's 34, but he's not 40. Like, he still has time, in my opinion, to get something together. He's made finals on the hard court this year. He's played well enough on the clay. I think Stan, coming in at 9th, is pretty fairly placed. This one could be a little bit of a reach. This could be a little bit higher than what most people would have him. But I think part of this exercise that makes it fun is differing from the bookies. You can go to Sportsbet and look at all of your odds and just rank them from 1 to 10 for the list. But no, I've taken a bit of a roughie, and that is Felix Auger-Aliassime.
Oh, that's not coming back. And he's getting really fired up now.
I just skipped forward to this forehand, took it.
And the volley is a winner.
Now, this guy is 19. He's from Canada. But the thing with Felix, like, if you watch this guy play throughout the Golden Swing in South America, he was so ultra competitive. He looks so great. He moves so well. He's so mentally stable. He beat Fabio Fognini. He lost twice to Laszlo Djere on the swing, I think, but they were his only 2 losses throughout that entire period of time on the clay. Like, he was beating some good guys. He beat Pablo Cuevas twice. Like, this is a dude, Felix Auger-Aliassime, who in a couple of years' time isn't going to be at 126 to 1 to win the French or 51 to 1. He's going to be at like 20 to 1. Like, I look at this guy and I think, on his day, for what I've seen him present lately, he can beat the likes of Tsitsipas, he can beat the likes of Zverev, and he can definitely beat those tough clay court guys that I've been talking about, Guido Pella, Pablo Cuevas, Diego Schwartzman. He has just such a dynamic style of play. He's so athletic, he's fit, he moves well, he's got solid ground strokes from both sides. I love Felix Auger-Aliassime, and I think that he is someone who I've got above a lot of perennial contenders, and for a good reason. I think you're going to see what he's capable of in this tournament. Okay, number 7, I have the German backhand sensation, I suppose, but out of form sensation, Alexander Zverev.
Staggering point. And Zverev lapping it up.
Look, if you asked me to do this list a year ago, then he would probably be in the top 5. But at the moment, his form hasn't been good enough for the entire year. He's been up and down. He's lost matches he shouldn't have. But ultimately, the ability is still there for Sasha Zverev. Look, he won a 1,000 tournament against Djokovic last year on the clay. This sneakily could be Zverev's best surface. We don't really know yet, but the stats indicate that he is just as good as on clay as he is on hard, and that he is on grass, which is a big statement for a guy like Zverev. A lot of these next-gen guys are pretty good all-rounders, but I really think you could make a case for clay being Zverev's best surface rather. And I don't know whether it's been a lack of focus or, it's been a lack of something. But if Roland Garros is able to motivate him to give his best, he's a worthy candidate for a number 7 or even a top 5 spot. He's very talented. As I mentioned, hits the ball well from both sides, but particularly his backhand is very good. When he's got power, and he's a consistent hitter of the ball, which is something that guys like Fognini and Zverev don't really have. Fognini and Wawrinka don't really have. So I think that Zverev, fair shout at 7, but could be even higher. Number 6, and we're getting into like a contentious area. It's been contentious for the top 10 because there's like 30 guys you could have put in that bottom 5. But number 6 is Daniil Medvedev.
Daniil Medvedev wins big here in Monte Carlo as he takes out the world number 1.
Now, people who know me are watching this thinking, fuck, this guy loves Medvedev. Of course he's on the fucking list. He's on the list, okay? He's on the list because he's a brick wall, because he's improved so much in the last 12 months, particularly from a mental standpoint. Like, this is a guy who was breaking his racket 2 Roland Garros ago and bowing out to Benjamin Bonzi in the fucking first round. But now, Medvedev, he beat Tsitsipas on the clay. He beat Djokovic on the clay. Anyone who has those kinds of credentials, just, this quickly into his career. And his career has been going on for a couple of years now, but I'm talking about his clay court ability has only become apparent very recently, and that's coincided with the mental turnaround from Medvedev. He's always been good on the hard court since he started. He's been solid on the grass, but now he's really started to peak on the dirt, and you've seen this peak, in the shape of wins, of top 10 wins over good guys. Nishikori, another guy he's beaten. So Daniil Medvedev really could be a head scratcher to some, but if you look at the form and if you look at the way the guy plays, he returns everything. He's fit, he's mentally strong, he's got a good serve. This is a guy who belongs in the top 10 for, most likely Roland Garros winners. So Daniil Medvedev, there you go. Okay, my number 5 is the GOAT.
It's fantastic from Federer.
Roger Federer. Look, there's no secret Roger Federer doesn't have the best time playing on the clay, as in, he probably doesn't enjoy it as much, he doesn't succeed as much. He relies so much on precision and his serve and his net game, and just, it goes without saying that those kinds of playing styles don't generate or don't translate perfectly over to the dirt. But with that being said, he's still an excellent rallier. He's still an excellent hitter of the ball. He's still fit. He's still clutch. Importantly, clutch. look, Roger Federer is going to probably have, 3 or 4 wins this French Open tournament, and he's probably going to be right in the mix. I'd be surprised if he didn't make the quarterfinals or the 4th round, depending on his draw, just by virtue of being Roger Federer. And ultimately, like, you can say that dirt isn't his best surface, but he's still got wins over Borna Coric. He came very close to beating Dominic Thiem. And he's smashing blokes that he should be smashing on the clay. So, if he's fit, Roger Federer should still be there when the whips are cracking, and if the draw opens up, he could go as far as anyone. So, Roger Federer, there you go. Number 4, and we're getting right into the nitty-gritty of it here. I have Stefano Tsitsipas. Now, I think this is a perfect spot for Tsitsipas. He's a bit better than Federer. He's a bit better than Medvedev, even though he lost to Medvedev. I still think his clay court ability is, noticeably better than Medvedev. He's a bit better than Medvedev. He's a bit better than Federer, but he's not quite as good as the top 3 that I won't divulge yet, but I think everyone can guess it, right? Look, I know, like Medvedev Tsitsipas and Federer for me are very close, but I just think, the gas tank that Tsitsipas has, he's probably not going to have any susceptibility to injury. He's played so much tennis this year. He moves so well. Like, he's just such a fun player to watch. The one-handed backhand is such a consistent shot, and you see a lot of guys who hit the one-handed backhand. It's erratic. Stands is quite erratic, but Tsitsipas it's just so solid, and you love the way he moves back and forth from the baseline. He's a rangy guy, but he can cover a lot of court. He's like the ultimate athlete. He's going to be really, really special. Doesn't have the raw hitting ability like someone who's on the top 3, or doesn't have the raw defensive ability like a Medvedev, or maybe like someone else who's in the top 3. But he's fucking good. Tsitsipas is a 4. He deserves to be there. Where it starts to get contentious. Again, I said the whole list is contentious, but it gets really exciting here. Number 3, Dominic Thiem. Now, Dominic Thiem, I think everybody knows that by now he is a fucking sensational player on clay. He's 25, so he's not like, a rookie anymore. Like, he's not like a next-gen kind of Yon Chung, Andrei Rublev, like Tsitsipas even, Auger Aliassime kind of guy. He's in the middle of the age group. He has been around long enough. He's won enough clay tournaments. He's beaten Nadal like 3 or 4 times. He's beaten Djokovic before. He is an excellent clay court player. He has probably the biggest forehand on the tour, maybe, outside Del Potro, but on this surface, it's probably the biggest. He's so fucking fit. He moves well. His serve is good. I mean, Dominic Thiem, he's just a cannonball hitter. Like, his forehand is so big, and he's got that like, he's so fun to watch from the baseline, and he's almost impossible to duel with from the baseline. He's got losses to Djokovic recently. He's got, a loss to... I'm trying to think of who else Dominic Thiem has lost to recently. Not that many people. Anyway, we'll wrap it up because we're sticking around a minute for each person. But Dominic Thiem, look, athletic, hard hitter of the ball, fit, good serve. He's going to take some fucking stopping, Dominic Thiem. Okay, number 2 is Novak Djokovic. Guess who number 1 is? Novak Djokovic is number 2. Look, he can't be number 1. He can't be number 1, but he also can't be number 3. He's got to be number 2.
Screamer.
He's beaten Thiem recently, and I've said before that when Djokovic is motivated and when he has that fire in his eye, he is probably the most unplayable guy on the tour. Imagine going out to your front yard and hitting the tennis ball against a brick wall that's 20 metres wide. How many points are you going to win? Well, none, unless you break through the brick wall or the brick wall. I don't know. Novak Djokovic, when he's going from side to side and he's digging balls out from like fucking 1 centimetre off the ground and just sending them back with depth. His backhand is just so good. His return is so good. he is just so hard to break down. And not only that, he's got power to boot. Like, he's not like he's just a defensive guy, but he's just so well-rounded. Like you talk about, like, certain weaknesses from certain players. Well, maybe Dominic Thiem can be a bit erratic. Sure, he can be a bit erratic. Rafael Nadal's backhand can be broken down not very easily, but it can be broken down. Daniil Medvedev probably doesn't have enough raw hitting power from both sides, and it's like, you can go through and look at all these guys in the top 10 and you can pick out a weakness. But with Djokovic, you can't really do it. I don't think, Djokovic's backhand is sensationally above average, but everything else is just very good. And I think that he's so hard to beat. But the guy who's coming next on the list has beaten him recently, and we're going to transition into that person right now. Introducing El Matador, Rafael Nadal.
It's a 9th title for Rafa in Rome and a record-breaking 34th Masters 1000 trophy.
Number one, look, he's won Roland Garros 11 times. He can lose to Tsitsipas, he can lose to Thiem, he can lose to Djokovic, but he still has to be number one. When he gets time to whip that forehand, it is insane. He never, ever, ever, ever misses a forehand when he needs to get it, when he needs to hit it, like he does. But he makes the forehands that are often tough for other players look really, really easy. Like, Rafael Nadal is so good on the clay. He just knows where to be, what to do. So he knows exactly how high the ball's going to bounce. He knows exactly where the returns are going to come. It's like he's so in his element. So in a fifth set against Djokovic or against Thiem, you're backing the guy who has made an absolute fortress of this place. Rafael Nadal, the forehand, the grit, the playing every point like it's a match point. He needs to be number one on the list. So there you have it, 10-1. Who you agree with? Who do you disagree with? Let me know, and let's get ready for a fucking fun tournament. Cheers.